Question: how often do you ever hear me say spend when you could and when you should? What? Let's talk about it. Back in a minute. Morning, good morning. This is Jan from New York City. My channel name is Jan from New York City. Saves money and I love, love, love helping people to keep some more of their own hard-earned money. How are you doing today? Yeah. Hope everybody's doing well. How often do you ever hear me say, spend when you can, spend when you can, spend, 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 buy, buy, buy? Well, you know what it is? There's time, there's place, and there's real life. Somewhere, all of it in between. What am I talking about? Basically, I want to set the record straight. When I suggest or encourage people at times not to spend, I am gearing for the folks who have true savings goals and seem to have a tougher time of it and want to encourage the spending appropriately as opposed to spending, well, can you nix it? Can you swap it out for something else? Type thing like that. By the way, you might hear my oven go off in the middle of me speaking. It's because I have, of all things in the oven, an egg custard in the oven. Hello, yum. So that's my future dessert for this evening. Just saying. I make a very simple one, very small one, like to throw it in every once in a while, sort of like a little treat, but not the worst treat in the world. Anyway, so if you hear my little oven going off, that is what's going on, in case you hear it. All right, so I just thought I'd share that very not important point. What do I mean by spend when you can? Basically, we're talking about the distinction between a want and a need. Let's face it, it is unrealistic. I mean it, unrealistic to expect anyone and everyone listening to this that they will never, ever, ever spend a dime at a local convenience fast food type place. That's just not realistic. Okay, there in all probability will be a person or two or three listening to this where the rule may not apply to them. You see, follow the things where applicable, for example, because sometimes there could be a little bit of confusion. And by the way, I'm so glad that I have a wonderful audience that appreciates audio shows. Thank you very much. An audio show that I make like this, radio style, is presented in such a manner, just for clarification for anyone who's new to the channel and doesn't understand, hey, why do I not see you on camera type thing? Because on purpose, I make audio shows. Number one, I enjoy producing audio shows. That is my background. That's what I do. That's number one. Number two, there is an audience out there that actually likes to get to listen to my message and go on and do whatever they have to do without sitting and being compelled to staring at an image. In fact, there are many faceless channels. I will consider my channel these days a semi-faceless channel because I do get on camera a couple of times a week. I just don't do it on a daily basis type thing. But anyway, that's another show. But I just want to thank you for being a wonderful listening audience. There you go, and it's growing. Thank you very much. So, okay, let's get back to the wants versus the needs and the times to spend and the times not to spend. Okay, everything is individualistic and everything is applicable to everyone else's individual situation. If you're the type of person in the situation where you can be more loosey goosey and let go of some more funding for those outside activities because you could do it, then to you, obviously, the rule is not applicable. But if you're saying to me, gee, Jan, trying to save, then I encourage, people, increase their income by earning it, some manner. And so people might turn around and say, well, to be honest with you, I prefer to cut back. I did take a poll. And I even spoke about this on a recent interview with Steve Young a couple of weeks back. I took a poll and I asked my audience, I asked my viewers, I says, would you prefer to cut back on expenses, or would you prefer to earn more income? Let me ask you a question. Who remembers me saying that? Walking over to my oven now because it's going to go off any second. So, anyway, so I asked on the poll, I said, what do you prefer? Cutting back on expenses, or do you prefer earning the extra income? Can I tell you something? The overwhelming majority of the folks prefer, guess what? Cutting back, cutting back. No judgment here. I get it. I get it. So there you go. I'm just presenting the facts as it happened. There you go. All right. But some other commenter, just to mention, said, don't emphasize the cutting back, but emphasize the earning more. Don't get me wrong to that person. If that person happens to be listening, I get that. And I tend to agree with you at times on that, whoever commented that way. Hang on a second. What did I tell you? Let me turn this off. Okay. There you go. You heard that live. So I'm going to open up my oven. I'm going to remove my egg custard for tonight. Oh, that looks beautiful. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There you go. See, you got more than you bargained for. So, okay, I tend to agree with it in a way, but I also tend to agree with the cutting back. So how about a little bit of both? And that's what this channel has presented. It was never one-sided. This channel has presented encouragement to do either or both, if applicable to one's situation. That's very, very important to note. Just saying, am I right or am I right? Now, getting back to the wants versus the needs. Now that's sticky business, okay? Because a lot of people cannot distinguish, they have great difficulty distinguishing a want from a need. When I was much younger, oh boy, was I like really, really wanting something and saying I needed that thing, that item, okay? And at that time, it was a silly carousel. What? Yes, I love carousels. I love how they look. They're so cute. It was like a good quality toy carousel, but not a toy for show for grown-ups, right? A nice display piece, if you will. Oh boy, I whined and cried because I had to do without that little carousel, because I kept saying, no, I really need it. No, you did not need the carousel. And it was brand new. It wasn't like it's at the thrift store and I'm getting it for $5. Okay. Too bad though. That would have been nice. Just saying. No, you see what I'm saying? You have to apply the rules where applicable. And I do encourage spending. I encourage spending on stuff of which you are going to get a great deal on. A couple of weeks, or maybe, no, let me look back. About 1 week ago, I mentioned the February savings, on canned goods, for example. And someone commented that they found a fantastic deal on a very well-known national brand soup. And I mentioned distinctly that you're going to get good deals on soup. And that person picked up 6 cans. They had to pick up 6 cans in order to get the sale. But it was on that person's favorite thing to eat. And they got that for $1 a can. And I know for a fact, especially in my area, that particular can of soup goes for well over $2 in my area. Maybe talking like pushing $2.50. So for that person to get that at that price, yippee. That's a deal. See what I'm saying? There are times you're going to hear me encouraging spending. Spend to save. There are times we spend to save, and there are times we save to spend. It's wonderful to know the difference. There are times that you're going to hear me encourage you to bring in more income, and there are times, there's always a time you're going to hear me try to show ways or find ways for cutting back. And in a painless type of way, too. I don't want it to be a drudge. I don't want it to be unrealistic. This is real life. You know what I'm saying? So we could find wonderful swap outs. Like, for example, let's go back to the egg custard I just pulled out of the oven. Okay. I make an individual one that only requires 2 eggs. Let me just give you a little mention of this. This is what I enjoy, and I'm going to give you a little bonus mention here. So for those that want some for themselves and don't want to use up a lot of eggs, this is for an individual, although you could share it if you really want, but I'm being a little bit greedy on this one. This takes just 2 eggs. I use 2 eggs, 8 ounces of milk, a cap full of vanilla, a tablespoon. It's cinnamon sugar. It's a cinnamon sugar blend that I make myself. But you could say mostly sugar and like a little bit of cinnamon. You can mix it up that way. So let's recap this, okay? 2 eggs beaten, all right? One 8 ounces, excuse me, 8 ounces of milk, a cap full of vanilla, a little bit, like I said, the cinnamon sugar. I use about a tablespoon, and all in all. And what I do is I mix, it's so easy. I mix the whole thing together. I use nonstick spray for the pan. Very, very simple. I pour the mixture. You can use whatever pan you want. I learned the trick per egg. Okay. Go about 5.5 minutes. So what I do is I make mine at about 11 minutes, but I have this really weird trick that some people might say, what? This is something that I do, and it's not on any normal egg custard recipe. This is what I do. Okay. I like to take this little like margarine kind of blend, and I'll dot it on the top a little bit. It sort of gives it like a sweet, salty taste when all is said and done. You could have it warm. You could have it at room temperature, although I don't keep it out long, but then I refrigerate it. It's best when it's cold. Just saying, just saying. And wrap it up, and that's my dessert. I'm not eating cookies. I'm not eating cake. It's a lot, very nutritious. The only thing naughty is that little tablespoon of the sugar cinnamon blend. Big deal. And cinnamon is not a problem, so big deal. So it's like having the best of both worlds there, and very, very easy to do. So there you go. Just thought I'd mention that little bonus tidbit there since you were in on my removing the egg custard from the oven. This is something you can make 1, 2, 3 in the morning while you're getting ready in the morning, doing other things or whatever. You take it out. And by the way, speaking of which, I like to make my pizza omelets that way. I bake them up. Similar ways, a couple of eggs, a little bit of milk, a little bit of spices. I put like about maybe 3 to 4 ounces of tomato sauce on top of it. When it's cooking, I put it on top, or you can let it cook semi and put the sauce on top. And then like in the last 5 minutes of the baking cycle, you may decide to add your shredded mozzarella if you want. Very simple. Very easy, really good if you're trying to lower your carb intake. Just saying, just saying. So look at all these bonus things I'm mentioning. There you go. And speaking of bonuses, I really would appreciate it if you let YouTube know that you like this video, if you got any value at all from this video, even if it was just a few minutes of entertainment. I really appreciate if you do the following. Have an amazing, fantastic day. Take good care. Bye-bye.